and welcome to Just One More Cookie, a podcast about two sisters' journeys toward complete health and wellness. We definitely don't have it all figured out, and we're still in the thick of it, but we are enjoying the ride. We'd love for you to come and join us for just one more cookie.
For me, I feel like if I could just do a compilation of all of your obnoxious throat clearing,
Oh man, that would probably be really funny.
I would have a 10-minute video of, hold on, a second.
Well, sometimes I like to be more dramatic with them than others.
What I'm saying. Like, do you cough like that normally? And if so, is this a medical condition?
Hi, friends, and welcome to another episode of Just One More Cookie. My name is Abby.
And I'm Amy.
And we are so excited to be here with you guys today. Today is a very special episode because we have one of our dear friends that is going to be featured on the podcast. She is going to be promoting her brand new cookbook, which is absolutely amazing. So actually, that can be our start of our favorite things, because this week we are going to debut her wonderful cookbook. So Amy, take it away. Let's talk about this amazing product.
Okay, I'm so excited about this, right? So first of all, the cover is beautiful.
It really is.
Yeah, I love it. She looks amazing.
Yeah.
So it's called Clean Plate, Fresh Slate. So this is what I love about it, right? First of all, it's not super, super thick, right? Mm-hmm. That was the first thing I was excited about, because you know when you get cookbooks and it's like a manual, right? It's like a textbook, and you know, I'll make 5 of these, right? But I had to pay $50 for this cookbook. This cookbook is cost efficient, but also like, look inside. Okay, I have to figure out how to do directions. Beautiful, right?
Wow.
Beautiful recipes.
Yeah,
I know.
beautiful.
The steps, right? There's only like, this is the steps, right? So it's not like a bunch of pages. And this is so easy, right? And it's honey balsamic sweet potatoes and veggies. So
sounds delicious.
I was looking through this, and here's the best part. On every opposite page is an encouraging word, right?
I love that.
You deserve every great thing coming your way. I'm telling you, like, whether this be just for yourself or if you're ordering it for a friend or a family member that wants to like jumpstart their health journey, or you're just looking for something new. And one of the things we talked about in the podcast is like, every time we start our health journey, it's like, well, let's go get the broccoli, let's go get the plain chicken breast. And I think sometimes in the beginning of our journey, like that's all we think that's available to us. And that's not sustaining. It gets boring. Like literally one time I was making broccoli for the 100th time, and a broccoli floret fell on the ground. And Marley, who you will hear a snippet of her bark in this podcast. Don't be alarmed. It was planned. And it comes with the most perfect parts. I actually just didn't turn my microphone down in time. But Marley went up to the broccoli, right? And she like smelled it and made like a little bit of a gagging noise. She's like really a picky eater. And it resonated with me so much. Because I was looking at it and I was thinking, I'm eating something that a wild animal is gagging about. And that's super dramatic, but the point is that we don't have to resign ourselves to just being bored and like just eating dry, just unenjoyable food. Like the thing that's so beautiful, first of all, this is so beautifully colorful, but it's like she even has like fried cauliflower steaks, right? Cauliflower, the most disgusting vegetable. She somehow made this magical. I want to eat that. You got this because God's got you. I can't get over this book. I can't. And we're going to talk about this with the author. We are like, first of all, we are celebrities because we have a celebrity. But we're going to talk about how you can specifically buy it. But I'm going to say it here and we're going to repeat it at the end. But go to Amazon or anywhere you get books and they can order it for you. But Amazon.com. But if you want an autographed copy from Chris, which you're going to want to after you hear her story and just the amazing encouragement she gives, you can go to www.cleanplatefreshslate.com. I love that title. And you will get an autographed copy from the author.
So without further ado, our much anticipated lovely talk with Christine Preston, our friend Chris.
So I am so excited to welcome our very, very special guest, who is a dear friend of mine and Abigail's. One of the things that we find so amazing is when we are connected to people who have similar health journeys to ours and are doing really amazing things to help people on their health journey without feeling like you have to have arrived, right? Like, oh, I've had all these amazing feats. In the midst of it, we want to encourage everyone, like help each other, have conversations, right? And Christine Preston, who is our special guest today, is one of those people who has done it. Now, we talked about it a little bit earlier when we were talking about our favorite things. We're talking about it again. I got to make sure I can see it. Christine's book. Christine has released a cookbook that is focused on taking like really great meals. I think the thing that I really enjoyed is when I was looking through it, I was like, oh, this isn't like how to like put apples in oatmeal. This is like good food. You know what I mean? Like when you get a healthy book, it's like, oh, here's how to take a bland sandwich and throw like special mayonnaise on it. So it's just bland with special mayonnaise. Like you really do have great savory recipes in here, but it's like from a lighter fare, which is so beneficial. So we're just going to have a conversation today because we want to hear about your journey. We want to hear about your book, and we just want to share you with our beautiful Just One More Cookie crew. So Abigail's going to kick us off by asking our first question, and let's chat.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Chris, just to kind of intro, and we kind of talked about this at the very beginning when we were first starting out. So, can you kind of tell us your background? So, your journey with health, maybe how you started out, your history, and kind of what brought you to the place that you're at today.
Okay. I have to say first, thank you, ladies, so much. I am so happy to see both of you all. You know, you hold a huge place in my heart. I'm so proud of both of you all. I love you dearly. So I appreciate the opportunity. I will say that my journey started, let's say 2014, and been off and on, honestly, up to this point. But in 2012, I was diagnosed with Graves' disease. I got very, very sick. Lost 50 pounds drastically. And some people were like, man, what are you doing? And I'm like, nothing. I'm literally just losing weight. And so with that happening, I was in a horrible position. I mentioned in another conversation, I felt like I was dying. And to a certain degree, I feel like I was, because my body was literally turning on me. I didn't know what was going on. So I ended up having a total thyroidectomy after having a radiation treatment. I had a huge goiter. It was just a whole hot mess. And so once I had the total thyroidectomy, I felt great. But when I tell you my weight shot up, like it felt like overnight. And from there is when I was first introduced to a clean eating journey. I was working out with a trainer. He introduced me to that meal plan. And so I can say that when I first started, I got burned out really fast. Because I went for the typical foods, salads, fruit, broccoli, that's it. And so I was like, okay, I don't want to see another green thing. I would rather just not eat. So let's do hard, for the rest of the show. Throughout that process, I still, I stayed true to it. But like I said, I'll be the first one to say that I have fallen off from time to time, as I know a lot of people have. But with that, you can always start again. That's one thing that I always had to remind myself. So fast forward to now, I was recovering from a reconstructive surgery on my left side. I couldn't put any weight on that side. I actually had pins and screws sticking out of my toes. It was a whole thing. And so quite naturally, I picked up weight because I had limited activity and then just eating the wrong things. So I started to jumpstart my weight loss journey again. And from there, I picked back up with clean eating. And so I started just like cooking food, taking pictures and posting it. And the response was crazy. I mean, and I say that as humbly as I can, because encouragement is big for me. And I felt like, man, if I can share, something that I'm eating, maybe somebody that is on this journey can get something from this. Maybe they're tired of broccoli and lettuce. So if they see what I'm eating and see that it's clean and it's good and it's easy to get to, it's not these exotic ingredients that you can't just go get from Aldi's. I started posting it, and people literally started asking me, hey, do you have a cookbook? Do you meal prep? And my answer was no to all of that, but I appreciate the encouragement. And so I just kept posting, and now we're here. I have to say thank you so much to all of our dear friend, Nakia Hammonds Blakely. She, talked to me. I was like, Chris, I really think you need to put these recipes in a book. And I will say I gave her some resistance at first. I was like, let me pray about it. I didn't pray about it at first. I'm like, when I get the answer, I know I have to move on it, whatever that is. And she was still so encouraging and kept, asking here or there, like, Chris, And so with her and I Champion Publishing, I birthed Clean Plate, Fresh Slate.
I love it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Were you always a cook, like before you started, and you just kind of altered what you were doing before, or is this it was a new thing for you?
Let me tell you, totally a late bloomer. There was one time that I tried to make Alfredo, the spoon stuck in the pot. It was so thick. I literally, I was like, what did I do wrong? So the question, no. I didn't start cooking until well into my adult years, but I grew up watching my dad cook every day. He would, go to work, come home and cook. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know my mom could cook for quite some time because she didn't have to. And so I didn't really cook either. I would watch him and just help a little bit here and there. But for the most part, I didn't. So I wasn't forced to cook until I really was out on my own. And that was well into my 20s and 30s, but I feel like I could, I just didn't have to. So I didn't really try, but that Alfredo, that was a whole, and so from there, I'm like, I can't cook and I'm not really going to do it unless it's cheese and hot dogs. So to answer your question, into my, well into my adult years, then I just started kind of playing with things. And one thing I can do is follow directions. So if I have a recipe, I will follow it because the times back then that I tried to alter it, horrible would have decided terrible. So I'm like, Chris, stick to what what it says, until you learn a little more, and then you can start embellishing, on the ingredients and the method.
I will say that's what I really like about the cookbook, right? Is that like there's literally like 10 steps and there's simple steps, right? It's not like take this shallot and warm it. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's very like simple, like you said, simple ingredients and simple steps. Because I think a lot of times when it comes to eating healthy, you hit everything, right? Like it's when you get a meal plan and that meal plan is like salmon, chicken, and then ground turkey, right? And then your choices are broccoli, squash, and egg whites. And like, okay, like that sounds really great. But by week 2, like you're going to be going to a bakery. You know what I mean? Like you're going to break and go in the opposite direction. So it's like when you can, and also I think it's a lot about like repairing your relationship with food and knowing that it can be fun and not difficult. Healthy food can look like what you would normally eat. You can just like tweak some of the parts of the recipe to make it just fit like a healthier option, which is what I love about, like I said, what I love about your cookbook. It's that it's not like let's do broccoli casserole. Like if I see another floret of broccoli,
I can't. Yeah. I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, of course. I want to talk about, I want to go a little bit further backwards because I know we started at 2014, but I think a lot of times when it comes to our health journeys, sometimes it's a decision later on in life, but maybe something that you have struggled with as far as your health is concerned. Do you feel like this is something that you've kind of battled long-term, or is this just something that has become an awareness for you now and you're making changes, or has this been something that's kind of been a battle for you consistently?
I feel like it's been a battle for when it mattered, if that makes sense. So once we get to a certain age where our looks matter, our attention matters, thankfully I have always been around people that have been, supportive and loving. But as far as really making the decision to embrace a healthy lifestyle, that started, like I said, around that 2014 time frame. And I have to say this, I never want to omit this, but it really is a faith journey and a faith step. I realized, because I always say this, cake is my absolute favorite food. Like,
we are soul sisters.
Yeah. If I could choose, Chris, you want
you.
I'm gonna pick the cake, like, hands down.
Absolutely.
And I'm not really ashamed of that. So
you shouldn't be.
So I had
That's right.
Phenomenal.
Preach.
Yeah. I had to have a very transparent talk with God, and let him know, like, I need you to help me with this. Take the taste minorly away, because I still want to enjoy cake, but help me not to crave it like that. And he did that. Do I still love cake? Absolutely. But I learned that when I would do like the cleanses, like I did a 21-day detox, and that was when I first started. That was just fresh fruits, vegetables, nuts, water, grains, nothing white, like no white potatoes, anything like that. I didn't have a taste for the sugar like I once did. If I had a cheat, I realized it was more psychological. Like, when I got it, I was like, ugh, I really didn't need, need that. So to go back to your question, I feel like I battled it mildly for quite some time, but then more so once I got into that 2012, 2014, time frame, because I felt so bad in my body. I mean, it was horrible, and I knew, like, something has to be different.
Yeah. This is probably the most important question that I'm going to ask you the whole interview. Do you like whipped cream frosting or buttercream frosting?
I like buttercream.
Ah, yeah, right answer.
I don't.
Wow.
Right answer. Thank you. Whipped cream frosting is an insult to the beauty that cake is. And I'm really glad.
Waste of calories.
I'm glad that we're tackling the important topics.
Listen, I'll tell anybody, I can't. If it's strawberry shortcake, maybe. Yeah. But please, I won't eat it. Like, no.
It's a waste. Yeah.
Buttercream. I need it all.
Right. I always say, if I go to a wedding and they serve like a cake with whipped cream frosting, I'm already like, I want my card back. I want.
I get mad. Like, why did I come to your stupid wedding?
I don't want it. I don't want any part. Like, why would you kick that? But okay, it's not my wedding. Yeah. I don't.
Chris, as you've gone through this journey, and so I guess it's almost 6 years now. What would you say is one of the major things that you've learned about yourself on your health journey?
Wow. You know what? I've learned that sometimes I didn't always give myself enough grace. And I feel like, man, that's such a big thing, because I feel like it's so easy for us to fall off and then be so discouraged or disappointed in ourselves that we don't jumpstart, but what I have learned is that when God graces us to see another day, or even just another moment in the day, that's another opportunity to start again, because you're doing it for yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's not, in most cases, you're not trying to impress anybody. You're trying to make yourself feel better. So just start again, and don't be so hard on yourself. I feel like you should hold yourself accountable. That's important. But beating yourself up if you slip, or if maybe just you have a horrible week, okay, start again.
For people that I think sometimes when it comes to the idea of like just starting, right? Especially if you're faced with some sort of health issue and you're forced to start, what do you feel like are the keys that you used in the starting process that you've continued to use that have been the most helpful for you?
Honestly, transparency with myself, and honestly, a transparent talk with God, because I know without Him, I won't be successful, not to my full potential. So just talking to him, every step of the way and believing that he is with me and that he will help me do it. That's been very important for me. And then also not sticking to, like we talked about before, just the basics. Planning is key. If I decide that I'm going to eat clean, I cannot not have a plan in my mind of what I'm going to eat that week, because I will go get some fries when I get hungry. I have to at least have an idea, or at least have the tools in the refrigerator, you know what I'm saying, to do it. So transparency with God and myself, planning, very, very important. And congratulating yourself, each step of the way. Every victory is a big deal. Doesn't matter how small it appears.
Yeah, I love that. So once you got this this plan to do your cookbook, which I think is like so phenomenal, right?
Thank you.
What were some of the fears that you had putting this out there? If there were any fears, what were some of the fears of like putting this together and putting that out there?
That people be like, this is trash. I can't follow these. I wanted so much for people to genuinely be able to use it. I didn't want them to see my meals that I post and then, okay, support the cookbook and then try to make a recipe. And they're like, now, come on, Chris, this is not how, that was a huge fear of mine. And then I wanted it to be appealing to people. I wanted them to see something in there. They're like, man, I didn't think about putting that with that. Or, wow, that's really easy. I can go ahead and, what I'm saying, cook that. So that is one of my biggest joys, when I get messages of people like they've made a meal from the book and they send it to me like, Chris, it came out so good. That is such a huge deal to me, because it genuinely makes me happy, almost to tears, because I'm a big baby anyway. And I'm like, Lord, I really just want to encourage and help. I'm not an expert, like I've said, but I feel like I know what works, on the surface for everybody, because everybody's body is different. But I do know that when we put good things in our body, we feel better from the inside out. And so I really, that was my biggest fear though, because I went around the block and back. But it was just that people be like, I can't follow this recipe, or again, this is garbage. So that was a huge fear. And thankfully I haven't gotten that response to this point. So far, so good. Thank you, Jesus.
So the recipes that you came up with, were these recipes that you had done previously before you were on your health journey and you kind of tweaked them to make them healthy, or did you kind of just start from scratch?
It's both. So a lot of times I literally will wake up and be like, man, I have a taste for sweet potatoes, but I don't want to bake sweet potatoes. So I would Google sweet potatoes, and see what would come up. I wouldn't take that recipe, but it would give me an idea of something that I wanted. Or even if I did see a particular recipe, I would always tweak it, switch out a lot of the ingredients, because when I jump started this journey, this time, I couldn't have like wheat, and my trainer didn't really tell me outright, but I think gluten was off the table, because I think he didn't want to put so many limitations on me where I got, discouraged or whatever. So like if I saw white flour, I would substitute for almond flour, or if it had regular milk, almond milk. Or if I saw like baking powder, I would put protein powder in it and just kind of, try it out, and it worked. So some of them I would say from scratch, but a lot of them were tweaks and revamps to things that I already, enjoyed or, liked.
One of the things that you said earlier was like tackling the psychological part of this journey. What would you think? What do you feel has been the most difficult as far as psychologically, like when it comes to mindset? Because we talk about on the podcast how like there's so much more involved mentally right, on this journey than sometimes there even is physically. So what would you say are some of like the psychological hurdles you've had to overcome? And then how do you handle that? How do you find your even so that it doesn't become overwhelming?
I would say psychologically, when I may not reach a certain goal that I feel like I should have reached in that time frame. And quite often, if I'm being completely honest, I'll just be like, get it. I'm just gonna eat the cake and the fries and the fried chicken and the pizza. So, because I'm like, man, what am I doing? But I had to learn, for one, the scale is not the, end all be all. I had to learn that. And I also had to learn that, sometimes if I'm increasing in weight, it's not that I'm gaining weight, muscle. You know what I'm saying? So not giving up was a huge psychological hurdle for me. And then procrastination, saying, okay, I'm going to start Monday coming. Monday coming, somebody decides they want to share a sweet treat with me. And I'm like, well, can't do it today. I got, I have to eat that. So then another 2 weeks go by because I didn't start on that Monday. But I'm like, Chris, okay, Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't have to be like that. So for me, the whole defeat factor, because we aren't defeated, even when it feels like we are. And then procrastination.
What do you feel like is next for Chris in this lane? What do you feel like is next?
I have been seeking God about that. I would love to release another cookbook, but I want it to be, again, quality recipes. I want it to be substance filled, maybe in one particular vein. So with Clean Plate, Fresh Slate, there's different, types of meats I use, different, types of things. Maybe the next cookbook will be in one lane of some sort. But if this book will continue to open up the opportunity for me to share my testimony, to tell somebody that they can make it, even if that's it, then I'm okay with that, because encouragement is huge. It's huge for me. And it's what I feel like one thing God has called me to do, and I know that if I can do it, literally anybody can. And I mean that. So
with the title of your book, The Clean Plate, Fresh Slate, I want to know first where that came from. And then the second part, Fresh Slate, which I think is so beautiful. What is that? How do you connect to that personally?
Y'all have to tell you, Nakia, she called me and was like, Christine, I see this. I see this book title and I see your name on it. So I have to give her all credit for that. And she asked me, she said, how do you feel about that? Do you connect with that title? And I'm like, absolutely. As soon as she said it, I'm like, that's it. Because I had jotted some things down, even with my mom. And, I'm like, that's okay. But I wanted it to really fit and click. And when she called me, she was like, Chris, I don't want to sound deep and spooky, but I saw it, in a dream. And I just feel like this is it. And when she said it, I'm like, you're right. So bless you, Nick. Thank you for your obedience. I appreciate her for not giving up on me when I didn't jump at it right away. She, I have to say, is great with just how she encourages, us as authors, how she keeps you on a schedule. If you're kind of like lacking with your deadline, she's not a taskmaster like that, but she, it's like, okay, Chris, come on, did you submit that recipe? And she's great. She's great with keeping you, on target. So do I connect a clean plate to a fresh slate? Absolutely. I do. I mean, I feel like it's just a way to jumpstart everything, because I know that when we feel better on the inside, it just trickles down to everything else, I believe, concerning us.
That's awesome. I have a question for somebody like me who is not a cook. And maybe there is somebody who is starting from scratch, and maybe they are on their health journey, maybe right at the beginning, and they're used to doing fast food or carry out or, you know, frozen dinners, even if they're choosing healthier options and they really want to get to the clean eating, even if, you know, they were eating the, maybe, like I said, the healthy microwave dinners that maybe aren't so healthy, and maybe they're feeling overwhelmed. What would be your advice to them for first steps or how they can make better choices and actually not be afraid of their kitchen?
I would say, first thing, prayer. But secondly, establishing the confines of the diet you want to stay in. So I will always tell people, start with one thing. So say for this week, I'm not going to eat sweets. So instead of eating the Hostess cake, some strawberries and some whipped cream. Yeah. But, you know, because I'll eat whipped cream. Or instead of picking up a candy bar, getting granola bars. And I would say starting there. Or saying this week, nothing fried. So let's just say you do go to a fast food restaurant. Get the grilled chicken. Maybe even get the salad instead of getting a sandwich. Or if you get a meal that comes with a sandwich and fries, get the salad that comes with it. But taking small steps that will lead to big steps, because what's going to happen is your mind is going to be conditioned to do those things. Even though it may seem small, it's not. You know, or saying, I'm not going to have pop this week. So more water instead of me getting a Coke. I can get some lemonade, even though that's still a little high in sugar sometimes, but just making a decision to do this for this week. And then, okay, well, man, I did that, so I can carry that over next week. Let me add another thing. And then even with not cooking, I would say finding recipes that are concise and easy to follow. That makes it less, you know, overwhelming. And I know that takes a little research, you know, but it is out there. You know, and just even if you buy a bag of salad and buy the chicken breast that's already cooked, all you have to do is warm it up. You know what I'm saying? And then you can just boil some eggs and add it to your salad, cut up some cucumbers. So taking small steps. Don't try to make filet mignon, you know, right now. Just go ahead and, you know, steps.
Yeah, and buy Clean Plate Fresh Slate, because it's simple. That's a great place to start. Yeah, it's a good starting off point. Chris, I want to ask you one more question.
Okay.
I want you to talk directly to our listeners, and it could be someone that maybe is facing an illness themselves and are needing to go on a health journey, start a health journey, or it could be someone who like knows, man, I really need to start, right? But they're putting it off, or they have a lot of fears, or maybe they're in the midst of it and they feel overwhelmed. From the natural encourager that you are, what would you say to them to either encourage them to start or encourage them to stay the course?
The first thing I would tell that person is that you can, no matter what it looks like, you can do it and you're worth it. I would remind that person that, you know, we need you. You know, the world needs your gift. And if you're not at your best to get it, you know, we don't get to experience it. I will also say that there is nothing too hard, you know, for God to do through you. So yes, we're weak on our own because we're flawed human beings, but that's all the more opportunity for God to show himself strong. So I would remind that person to never rely on their own strength when it comes to a journey like this, and not just to healthy living, whatever it is, whatever that goal is. But most importantly, I will remind that person, like I said up top, you can do it. You can do it. And you have to constantly say that to yourself. No matter what it looks like, you are fully capable to do it because it's in our makeup to win. I mean, yeah, that's just inevitable, you know, when we tap into that and you know, you'll be so proud of yourself at the end of it all.
I love it. Tell us, how do we get Clean Plate Fresh Slate?
I will. Okay, so it's available on Amazon or anywhere books are sold. They can order it for you. If you would like to get an autographed copy, you can go to my website, www.cleanplatefreshslate.com, and order your book there. And I'll sign it for you and ship it off to you.
I love it.
Thank you.
Abigail, did you have any final words you want to say?
I just wanted to say I'm so excited. I feel like we are kindred spirits. Just from what you were saying, I just hear so much that has echoed of what we've talked about in our past episodes. So I have just so enjoyed having you on here. I'm so grateful that you agreed to do this for us.
Thank you. I am, honored that you all consider me. And I love you all dearly. I know I keep saying it, but I mean it. I am so glad that we connected, however many years it was ago. And we may not talk every day, but I feel like whenever we do, we pick right back, up wherever we left off. So I am, again, just so proud of you ladies. I love you dearly. And I just thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chris, for joining us. Make sure that you all go to www.cleanplatefreshslate because you get an autographed copy. So make sure you go to that. And thank you so much for this conversation. I agree with Abigail. I mean, at the base of everything, we are soul sisters. I mean, you love buttercream.
Listen,
I'm more connected for life. But thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, all of you who have listened. Make sure to join us next week for another episode of Just One More Cookie.